Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Ginger Pierce, and I'm one of the travel agents with Marvelous Mouse Travels. We are the agency that sponsors this Facebook group, along with several others that are focused on different destinations. Welcome to Sundays with MMT. This is a weekly live agent panel video series that we do in one of our Facebook groups every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're very excited to be in this group tonight to talk to you about river cruising with AMA Waterways. So, our agents have a lot of information to share with you on that topic tonight, but we would still love to save some time at the end of this session to take any questions that you might have. So, feel free at any point during our time together to go ahead and drop your questions in the comment, and we will come back to those at the end of our video. We're using a platform called StreamYard to go live this evening, and so StreamYard might ask you to approve it to display your username and your profile picture. Just know that you don't have to approve that permission. You can decline that and still post anonymously, and we will still be able to interact with you. So I'm joined by two of our marvelous agents tonight. Ladies, thank you so much for being here with us tonight and being willing to share your experience. So if you would take just a second to tell everybody your name, how long you've been with the agency, and the best way for them to contact you if they'd like to plan a vacation.
Hi, so I am Lindsay Smith. I have been with the agency for a little over 3.5 years now. You can see my email below. That is a great way to get in touch with me. You can also find me on Facebook, Lindsay Smith, Marvelous Mouse Travels, on Instagram and TikTok.
Hi, my name is Kim. I have been with the agency for almost 5 years, 2 weeks from now. So almost my 5-year anniversary. And my email below is the best way to get in touch with me. But you can also see some of my content on my Facebook page at Kim York Marvelous Mouse Travels. And I have Instagram and a website link on there as well. But a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight are more pictures and posts and things from our time on our river cruise.
And again, my name is Ginger. I have been with the agency just over 3 years as well. And the best way to get in touch with me is to visit my blog, which you can find at gingermmt.com. You can also reach me via email at ginger@marvelousmousetravels.com. So, ladies, I know you recently returned from a river cruise. And as I was looking through all of the pictures and everything that you sent me in preparation for tonight, it looks like you had a fantastic trip. And it looks like AMA Waterways is a really good option for river cruising. I know that that's something that's on my bucket list. And so it's, probably on a lot of other people's as well. So this is a good group, I think, for this topic. But tell us a bit about what comes included with your cruise fare with AMA Waterways.
So I think the first thing about a river cruise, which makes it so unique, is that you hear that a river cruise takes you through places while an ocean cruise takes you to places. So it is a really great way to see countries in Europe. There are other countries that you can visit as well, but it is a great all-inclusive experience, different from an ocean cruise in that you have, there's really no dining experience that's not included with AMA Waterways. There is even a specialty dining experience, the chef's table, that is included for all guests. Your excursions are included. So where, if you're familiar with river cruising, you are used to constantly, looking online ahead of time, trying to plan out what you want to do by day, and then purchasing those in advance. With AMA, all of those are included. So really, you just pick and choose what you want to do. You can do it ahead of time, but then if you're feeling like you just want to stay on the boat one day, you can do that as well. And you don't feel like you're out any money. So I feel like it's a great perk, and it feels a little bit more all-inclusive when you have those items.
That's awesome.
We had a fantastic cruise director. So they stay with you. One of the things that's unique to AMA specifically is that they do pre and post kind of land tours, which really makes the experience in the country or while you're overseas more interior focused, so that maybe you're going to a city that isn't on one of the rivers. So our cruise director had started with a smaller group And so that would be an additional cost, but you get that. He comes with, or she comes with you. They do like a few days, pre-land excursion. Ours had Barcelona as the pre one, and then post was Paris, but they're the same cruise director that stays with you throughout your time on the ship, and then they do the pre and post, which is unique to river cruising because you get that more personalized experience. There's a group that kind of had already been together in Barcelona, and so you get this really fantastic team that's on your ship. So it's led by the cruise director. We had a hotel manager that was kind of, in charge of like the rooms and stuff like that. But part of what's also included is just your fantastic accommodations. So there were rooms that, we stayed in a room that had a twin balcony room. One of the unique things too about AMA is that they offer connecting staterooms. So there's not many river cruises that offer rooms that, if you're traveling with a family or with, more than 2 or 3 people, that you would get, a connecting room and kind of open up. So ours did have a connecting door, so that if you had both sides, but ours was a twin balcony room, which were these fantastic sliding doors that, kind of just opened up the entire room. And then you had the balcony with the chairs to sit out on. So I highly recommend that upgrade stateroom. And there are some sailings that they offer where they will have complimentary upgrades available still for some of the 2021 and early 2022 excursions too. Sailings. But they do have some, at the lower level. So we had 3 decks on our ship that were, accommodations with the rooms. And so there was an option to have just like a window. But I highly recommend the balcony because it was awesome to be able to sit out on the balcony as we were cruising, when we were docked. Along with your cruise fare, you get your stateroom, host or hostess that cleans, and definitely that concierge level. Like we had turn down service in the evening where we had chocolates on our pillow, and they would set up the room however they needed to, for morning or for nighttime, have the windows closed or the curtains open for when you came back at lunch or that sort of thing.
You also think about the extra things that you would pay for on an ocean cruise that are included with AMA. Your Wi-Fi service, that is included. And if you just saw on that picture, there looked like there was a TV, but that TV also doubles as a computer. So that is a true computer with Wi-Fi service for you to use to stay in touch with your family and friends while you are on board. And so that is included. A lot of people ask about drink packages. I know that's big, and that can be a big expense on a cruise. Those are included with AMA. So with your meals, they do offer wine based on the region that you're in. So ours was a cruise of Provence area of France. So the wine was included with lunch and dinner. You can have your mimosas in the morning, and there was always a cocktail hour where they would have a specialty cocktail and a special drink menu that you could choose from. And your soft drinks and things like that were included as well. So that's just another thing that you don't have to purchase to add on that is already part of your cruise.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the food. What was the culinary experience like?
I was pretty shocked. This was my first river cruise, so I didn't really have an expectation, but I have ocean cruise before. It was like the fanciest meals I've ever had, every single breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like eggs Benedict, and and it was a la carte, so you could choose some different options. It wasn't just like you had that option and nothing else. And then our waiter would say, this is the chef's recommendation. So there would be something that was specially prepared for that meal. Every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, was a chef's recommendation of this is what the recommendation is for appetizer, for your entree, your super salad. So very. Yeah, and you don't have to, eat that much food, but it was amazing to be able to kind of have those options and just kind of feel like you were just spoiled rotten. So it was, and it wasn't what I expected, in terms of, dining options for sure. So.
And I think what's unique to river cruising as well is you do get back on the boat for lunch. You are so close to the you're right there on land. I mean, it is a very short walk. You can't see right here, but right behind those bushes is the sidewalk. And so you are literally right there. So it is very convenient for you to do your excursion in the morning. They bring you right back to the boat. You walk back on, they give you a little welcome, refreshing drink and a towel to kind of wipe off. And then your lunch is ready. They're waiting on you to come in and have your lunch. And so that's a little bit different. They don't intend for you to be gone all day. They want you to come back and relax and really not have to have that extra cost of lunch. You could absolutely stay out if you wanted to, because you have free reign to kind of go back and forth. But you always have that waiting on you right there. That's easily accessible from your excursions. And I know people are seeing this food, and especially if you have children, do not worry. They are very aware that children will not eat that. And so they said that the chef is very aware that, your waiter may come up, and if a child is looking at the menu and like, I want none of this, your server might walk up and say, would you like some pizza? So the chef is able to make, they said they're able to accommodate almost any diet, any meal request on the boat, except for kosher, simply because there's no space.
Yeah, the small
kitchen. Right. The kitchen's not large enough for them to do kosher, but every other diet they can accommodate. Even children's pickiness, they can accommodate on the ship or on the boat, which is really great.
Which is, that's awesome to know. And that kind of leads into the next thing that I wanted to ask, what's the average age of cruisers? Is this a great cruise line for young families, or who is this best tailored for?
So we did ask this question. We got to actually have a long conversation and lunch with Christine Karst, who is the executive vice president and co-founder of AMA. They are a very family-oriented cruise. The average age is about 60 on the cruise. However, we asked, do you have families? AMA offers Christmas markets cruises, over the holidays, which are big with families. That is, she said, it is a really popular thing for families to do. And then also they have a lot of graduates. So high school graduations who want to take that European adventure before college graduates who want to do that sort of thing. There's big landmarks at these visits. So we were in more of a smaller wine country, a silk capital area, but you've got areas like Paris, and things like that where kids will recognize these tours and these landmarks. And so they said, yeah, absolutely. This is the average age, but you can choose your excursions. You can really fit it to, match your family. And like Kim said, the connecting staterooms makes it a lot easier for families to travel.
For sure.
And I want to speak to that a little bit, because I feel like, it's awesome for a single traveler. I have some clients that they want to know about single traveler options. Just that intimate level, like the small boat, everybody gets to know each other. You're assigned to the same like table and people around you and that sort of thing. So there were some single travelers on our boat that kind of made friends and buddies, and they, did different excursions together. But I also think that it's the same as ocean cruising, where you can bring your own, it's really great for groups. And so if you kind of bring your own, age group or friends or couples traveling together, then you kind of make your own age group, to hang out with, even if maybe, the average age of the boat was a little older, kind of a thing that you can kind of make your own party. That's kind of what so it's great for groups. They have, a groups department that you can work it with. And we even met another person on the boat who was working to charter an entire ship around this, a particular entertainer that she's friends with, and he has a really big following. And so all these people wanted to come, be on the boat, and he would be like their entertainment, on nightly. Wow. I think, and he was traveling with her, and so he, got permission to, be in the cocktail hour and do a little bit of, some of his like music and stuff. And it was really entertaining. I can see why he has a big following to, kind of have a group around him, sort of a thing. Yeah. So you can make any sort of group out of, particular interest or, that sort of a thing. So,
yeah, that's a great point. So let's talk about the ships themselves. Roughly how many people can sail on one of these ships and what kind of amenities do they have?
So Kim, correct me if I'm wrong. Ours had 162 passengers, I think was the max on ours. Yeah. So
sailing, I think she said we were at like 115 or 120.
okay.
So we were still not full capacity traveling,
right. So
current
you've got most of their ships are around that size. AMA does have a larger ship, the AMA Magna, as the name will kind of tell you about the size of the ship. I'm not sure about how many that will take, but then again, they do have a river cruise through Egypt. And that one, I think that one in, I'm sorry?
That one's smaller.
That one's smaller. I think either the Mekong or Egypt only hold, I think, 24 or 25 passengers. And so you're really talking about it like a tiny group, but even at 160 people, you really do get to know everybody around you. I think it's nice because it kind of creates a little bit of a family atmosphere. You recognize people, you recognize faces, you start to make friends with those around you. And you have to think about also the size of the ship really kind of limits you to what rivers you can go through, because if you think about, it's not a big ocean, where you can dock really depends on the size of your ship as well. But I would say we weren't without any amenities. We had a pool at the top. There is a pool on the top deck. It is heated because a lot of times it's a little chilly going through. There is a walking path on the top deck. There are sun chairs. They had a large chessboard, I believe, upstairs. But
they do have the wellness program too. That was included.
Wellness program. Yes.
So yoga.
Stretching after an excursion. If you wanted to do stretching, you could after an excursion. They do have a great wellness program that you can participate in as well. And bikes.
Yeah.
And you can always grab a bike, an AMA bike, and go bike around. There they are. They put them right outside the boat, and you can see how close we are to the. We're right there, and so you can hop off. You can grab a bike. You can bike around whatever town that we stop in.
And they do offer helmets and children's bikes.
Yes.
We did ask about the kids so that if you wanted to go biking with kids, if they needed to, borrow from other ships or whatever, that's something that, you can set up with them ahead of time so that they would be prepared with the bikes on board. If that was something that you're interested in, we could communicate with AMA to, ask and make sure that there was enough kids' bikes on board, if you wanted to do it as a family. So that was an option.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the ports of call and kind of how AMA makes each stop a special experience, other than, a lot of the things you've already mentioned, like the bikes and stuff. That's really awesome.
Right.
I have to bring up my favorite one. I think I tell everybody, this is the first thing I mention, is the truffle farm visit. It's just something I would have never thought. And so this is a picture. This is Amy. Amy is a truffle hunting dog. She is 11 years old. And we got to go to this farm where they had it wasn't time yet to dig up the truffles, but the owner had pre-planted the truffles in the ground to show us how Amy locates them, digs them up, and brings them to him and drops them in front of him for a treat. And so it was just such a neat experience. And the gentleman that you saw in that photo is actually AMA Waterways executive chef. He was fantastic. He was on our sailing. And the interesting thing about what AMA does is, so the chef was there because he was meeting with the owner of the truffle farm to get truffles to put in our food while we were there. And so our dinner that night included truffles from the truffle farm that he had gotten from the owner. And so it's things like that. It's things that you would never think of. That was one of my favorite ones. Of course, people are like, what about the castles? There are castles, there are beautiful castles. There are cathedrals. It's just the history is unbelievable that you get to experience in one of these river cruises. Oh, and Van Gogh, the whole Van Gogh area was awesome. We got to go to Arles as well, which was amazing.
Yeah, I was going to add that, the castles, and there was just a really, diverse offering in the excursions. So there was hiking, There was, if you there's us on a particularly strenuous hike. You don't see it. We were like sweating to death walking up this big hill. But you see in the background that was where our river cruise boat, like you can see the river back there. And then we hiked all the way up. So there's different levels of excursions. That would have been, level 5, because we did that hike all the way from the river up a very, very steep mountain. There are other people that chose to do the less, strenuous, I guess. Yeah. I don't remember what the level was or whatever, but they took a little trolley up to them. So we saw them, and I'm like, I think I want to take that trolley down. But walking down was not as bad as the walking up. So there's definitely hiking, and there was like a vineyard hike one of the days that you could go up to one of the vineyards. We opted that next day for the chocolate and wine tasting because there was not hiking involved in that one. We had our fill of hiking the day before, so we were okay going and tasting chocolate and wine that was paired. And what was really unique about that experience was that the chocolate that we had that day was specifically made by that chef just for us.
Wow.
You couldn't buy that chocolate. Like he literally he told us as he was talking about, so this was very much a foodie wine, a lot of excursions and things like that. This probably wouldn't be the best excursion for families. This would be more like an adult exclusive kind of itinerary. But he was telling us, like, when I tasted this wine, this is what kind of chocolate I wanted to make for you guys to put together. So that was really, a unique experience, and kind of the chocolate was amazing. But we opted for the eating excursion over the hiking excursion.
Well, and what you saw us wearing around our necks, which I think is very helpful. And then I think we might have another photo of Kim wearing one as well. Alma has something called an AudioVox system. So everyone has a little earpiece. This is all yours. There's a charging station in your room for these AudioVox systems. You wear them around your neck. You put the earpiece in, and for all of your excursions, you can hear your guide in your ear as long as you are within their range. So you have freedom as you're on these excursions to kind of walk around and observe, and you don't have to stay right next to your guide, as long as you're not around the corner and, somewhere else away from your group. You've got a lot of freedom to explore and really enjoy what you're seeing and take photos, but you can still hear everything that your group leader is saying. And it's all through that AudioVox, which is super helpful in a cathedral. Yeah. When you were in an active cathedral and you're trying to be quiet, he or she can walk through and tell you everything about it, and you can hear everything. And it's like you're quiet as a mouse walking through. That's awesome. Kim also had the water. And when you leave the boat, they hand you a box of water every time, so you have it. So they are keeping you hydrated, water on the way out, and then a little special welcome juice drink on the way back. But those AudioVox systems were awesome, and I think that's something that's helpful for even kids, or something of trying to get them. They can't hear, they can't see. Well, they don't really need to. They can hear everything in their ear, but they can see and kind of wander with their family and look around and enjoy it. And it keeps them more engaged, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to add to the excursions is that AMA partners with local tour companies. Mm-hmm. So they do the boat part, right? That's their expertise. And then when you get off at these different towns, you're meeting up with a local guide or a local tour company that's, kind of leading these excursions. So they're, experts in the destination. And then one of the things that when we were talking to Kristen was that part of the COVID protocols is that we were all required to be vaccinated on our cruise ship. And they also partnered with their tour groups, or, the tour companies, that all their, employees and the bus drivers, they had to kind of go, use that as a benchmark to partner with, keeping everybody safe and following all these protocols. And so I felt like they did a fantastic job kind of keeping everybody, aware of what the rules and procedures are. We would get reminders to keep our masks up, while we were indoors and things like that. But, it's just getting people to return safely back to tourism, which is, their biggest industry. So I felt like, the local guides were fantastic. you know, lots of fun stories and things like that to kind of take away and learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a huge difference when you have people who are really familiar with the location and can give you that firsthand that, you know, you might not pick up on your own or
Mhm.
guidebook or something like that. So I love that they do that. I think that's awesome. Well, ladies, this has been incredibly informative. I have loved, you know, learning about everything that you've shared, and I think you've really demonstrated one answer to the next question that I'm going to ask you. But, you know, what are the advantages to booking a river cruise through a travel agent rather than, you know, just booking it on your own?
I think you really need to work with an agent to understand if the itinerary you're looking for is a good fit for what your group, whether it's a group of friends, whether it's you and a significant other, whether it's your family. Whereas Kim and I said, okay, yeah, we loved this one, but we can automatically identify by looking and saying, okay, probably not the best thing, that not the most interesting for kids. We would probably go, you know, think about something different. Really matching you to that itinerary, I would say, and making sure that you have a smooth entry to get to your port. So that was an adventure for the two of us because we had to fly into Paris and then take a train into Avignon. The boat went from Avignon to Lyon, and then we had to train back to Paris. And so that whole navigation and making sure that you knew where to go, that you have a euro to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry, but the public restrooms require a euro.
Hey.
And so if you don't, it's little things like that, just making sure that you're prepared every step in the way. So when you're in a foreign country and if you are not fluent in the language or you have a hard time understanding it, that you don't feel so lost,
Right.
that they've thought through all of those things for you.
That's a great point because I wouldn't have known that about the public restrooms.
Thanks to Kim, I didn't. So Kim was my agent.
Yeah.
I also speak French and can at least
Yes.
read French, and I was
can.
Lindsay's translator a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So.
That is impressive. Yes.
Well, and international travel in general, I think it is very smart at this point to have a travel agent, making sure that you have crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's, that you know exactly what you need to get in and to get out, and that you have all of those details.
Well, even from the time we booked our trip, the requirements changed.
Right.
So we had to keep track of that and make sure that we had the right paperwork and the right requirements. And, now KN95 masks needed, we had to bring those for certain places and things like that. So keeping track of all those details for sure. And I think just having someone that you can quickly email versus waiting on hold with the vendor that talks to someone who you don't know,
Right.
That's always kind of like that personal touch of, that person, your agent is invested in your trip. They want to make sure that you are prepared and that you're excited and, just kind of like a little cheerleader on the sideline, making sure that, we're keeping track and just an extra set of eyes, ears on the reservation, just so that if anything does happen, we're a point of contact instead of just calling the company directly, to be able to provide that personal assistance.
Right.
So
that's a great point. So I don't think that we have had any questions come through, but we did have a comment that we want to show. They say it sounds amazing, and I totally agree. And it sounds to me like there are many different itineraries that you can choose from. So, if south of France is maybe not your cup of tea, like for me, that Christmas market sounds like it would be awesome.
So you have just want to pull this up. You can go see the tulips in the Netherlands. You can go to Germany. You can, like we mentioned, the Christmas markets. You can do wine cruises. You can do the Danube. You can do a castles cruise. I mean, there is that, and that's just Europe.
Right.
I mean, you can expand out with AMA you've got Vietnam and Cambodia. You have Egypt. You have African cruises. You have Colombia. It is the amount of the things that you can see by going through these amazing countries on a river cruise it would take you forever to piece that together
Right.
on a land tour. And like if your hotel is floating with you, I mean, that is really what it is. It's your hotel floats with you down the river to take you.
So I have toured and done a land tour, in Europe, and to compare it to a river cruise, kind of how I've been explaining it to people is that you really focus on a particular region, right? You're not going to cruise from the south of France all the way to Germany,
Right.
and hit all these different places. So you're really focusing on that particular region, that cuisine, what the culture is, what the, history is of that particular region. And so I think that river cruising just helps you to learn more about, a destination in particular. And so you're not like, oh, well, I went to 5 different countries on my particular trip, and you kind of don't remember anything until you get home and look at all of your pictures. And so I really feel like I learned, and I really got all of these places. And, in Europe in particular, that's the life of the countries are on these rivers. So we were parked right at where the city and all the tourist destinations and things like that were. But I wanted to mention that even with that truffle farm visit, that was an hour away. And so they made sure to communicate to us, if you're staying on the boat, that you have to go with us to the next place, because our boat met us at the next place. We were never coming back to that port because they had the itinerary so well maneuvered that even though you were going a little bit further in and, an hour north, the boat was going to pick you up and, be there for lunch at your next destination. So it's very well executed. And with the land tour, you are switching hotels and repacking your bags and things like that. So I kind of want to just river cruise all of my, European destinations from now on, because it was so easy and even more enjoyable than a curated land tour, just because we just left all of our stuff there. And then it took us to all of these wonderful places. So the convenience of it was definitely, something to consider. So
you've seen nothing until you've watched a river cruise boat parallel park itself in a city, which is what ours did. There were, other river cruises, and the last one, I was like, there's this little area where we're supposed to go. And one river cruise pulled out for us to go, and then our boat parallel parked and got right there. It is unreal.
That's
one last plug for AMA is that we actually got priority entrance into our destinations. So we went ahead of the line, we went early. So we were the only one in the Pope's Palace for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Whereas normally you would have all these other tour groups wandering around and taking pictures and things like that. So we got priority, in our destinations. And then we even got priority parking, if you will, at the ports, because the other boat had to leave.
Yeah.
They had to scoot to go somewhere else so that we could park in the prime, location. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing all of that information. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you that watched. We really appreciate you joining us tonight as well. Remember that if you are interested in planning a river cruise with either of these agents that you heard from this evening, that you can reach them at the contact information that we shared back at the beginning of the video. So if you joined us a little bit late, just check at the very beginning and you'll see their email addresses and all the different ways to get in touch with them. And remember that booking through an agent is not an additional cost on top of what you would pay if you booked that vacation directly with the vendor, because our commission is already built into the price you pay, whether you book with an agent or not. So when you're booking on your own, you are paying for a service that you're not receiving. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you gained some very helpful information, and we hope that we'll see you again in the future every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern in one of our groups for Sundays with MMT. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.